Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Standardizing Success, Achieving Consistency with Customized Templates in Archicad. My name is New, and I will be the moderator of this session with our speaker, Mr. Sudhir Thapa, Customer Success Manager at GSI. In this webinar, we will cover the following topics. First, an overview of GSI, followed by industry context to explain why we have this webinar. Then we will step into today's main point, how we can achieve consistency with customized templates in Archicad, and a live demo by our speaker. Finally is the Q&A section. Please note that you can submit your questions at any time during the webinar using the chat box on the right side of your screen. Now, let's get started with the first part of our webinar, an overview of GSI. I'm sure some of you are already familiar with GSI, but for those who are not, I'll give you a quick overview. GSI is an AEC solution provider that specializes in the Asia Pacific region. We have 4 offices in Vietnam, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Germany, with a team of over 40 members who are dedicated to helping our clients achieve their project goals in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. To achieve this, GSI offers 2 main services. First, our software development team can create custom software solutions to meet the specific needs of our clients. Every project is different, and not every software solution is a perfect fit. That's why our team works closely with our clients to understand their needs and develop custom solutions or new configuration based on existing software. Second, GSI is a trusted partner of leading European construction software companies such as Allplan, Bluebeam, Graphisoft, and ID Statica. These software solutions are designed to optimize workflows in the construction industry, saving time, money, and effort on every project. To learn more about GSI current services, please scan the QR code on your screen to visit our website and book your appointment with our team. Now, let's move on to the main content of our webinar, Standardizing Success, Achieving Consistency with Customized Templates in Archicad. This session will be presented by Mr. Sudhir, who has many years of experience working in AEC industry, also using various BIM software. To connect with him after this webinar, please scan the QR code on your screen to connect with him on LinkedIn. You can also book a free consultation to discuss with him about Archicad or any topic regarding BIM solutions, even the strategy to grow your business by scanning the QR code, and schedule the meeting at your convenient time. I would also like to remind you that you can submit your questions for the speaker at any time using the chat box on the right side of your screen. Mr. Sudhir will answer your questions at the end of the session. Now, I would like to invite him to begin his presentation. Hi, Sudhir. Can you check whether you can share the screen?
Yes, I think, yeah.
Okay.
I will just, let me know if it's visible now.
Yes. It's visible now.
Yeah. Get the audience view.
Yeah, can you put the slide into full screen?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we have Okay, so first I would like to introduce the GSI Group, which is an umbrella organization for Graphisoft Archicad, which is basically the software which helps us to be involved in planning and design, and then the build and construct, then the operate, manage, media, entertainment. So various softwares here fall under the umbrella organization, membership group. And the next slide we have here is the software that we are using today for this demonstration purpose. So the Graphisoft Archicad is a Hungarian software company developed in Hungary, and now it's a part of GSI Group. It contains MEP modeling and structural modeling capabilities with reinforcements, and it is currently used by thousands of engineers and architects worldwide. So Archicad can be used in various design phases, starting from conceptual to documentation. Archicad has its various uses. So without further ado, for this particular webinar, we will be discussing the problem statement first, and then the industry context, and then we will have the demonstration in Archicad regarding the template creation. So as the title mentions, the success in an organization can be automated or can be achieved through standardization. So this involves the creation of templates, which basically does a lot of beginning work for you before starting a project, and it just makes your workflow very smooth, and you have everything in one place before you start a new project. So basically in this slide, the problem statement here is due to the inefficiency in workflow, there's a lot of time that gets lost during working in new projects. And if we have new people working in any organization, they also have to get accustomed with the software that the office is using. So if anybody in the organization is already involved with Archicad and there's a new person who wants to join in, and now the person has to start somewhere. And if the organization already has a proper template, this new person will be able to onboard the office and start with the projects really quickly using the templates, right? And also the lack of standardization is also a big problem. And using templates, we can standardize a lot of attributes which is going to be used for the project. And the user dissatisfaction, reduced collaboration, and efficiency is already also a problem. So here I would like to talk about the industry context. Basically, why do we need template creation, and why do we want to edit our work environment of the software interface that we use, right? So here we are taking an example of a software, Graphisoft Archicad. So in Archicad, by customizing the work environment, the design firms and individual users, they can optimize their workflows. They can improve efficiency and adapt more readily to industry changes and project-specific demands. So basically, the customizable interfaces allows users to streamline their workflows, making tools and functions more accessible. So this sort of reduces the time spent on repetitive tasks, and it basically increases the overall efficiency and productivity in design processes. And also it enables firms to create standardized work environments that basically adhere to office standards and best practices. It also ensures uniformity across projects and teams. So this facilitates better collaboration and consistency in the output. Also, as I already mentioned, the training and onboarding process by basically allowing the new users to adapt to the current environment, and the trainers will be able to set up the environments tailored to the educational needs or level of the new user that has recently joined. So the new users can have the introduction towards the essential tools uh, with the customized interfaces that grow more complex. So as their skill develop, they will be able to understand quickly where and what fits and how it fits, right? So customizable interfaces also can be shared among team members so that everybody in the team is using the same tools and settings. It also enhances the collaborative efforts by minimizing misunderstandings and the discrepancies in tool uses. So also it supports the varied needs of multidisciplinary teams, which enables the architects, engineers, and designers to customize their interfaces according to their specific roles. So this is why it promotes the better integration of different aspects of design and construction within the same project environment. So also the customized interfaces can reduce the likelihood of errors by eliminating unnecessary tools and just focusing on the tools that are really relevant to the task at hand. So this basically helps us to streamline tool sets, helps users maintain focus and accuracy in their work. Also, the firms are able to customize work environments for specific clients or project types, catering to unique requirements and preferences. It enhances the client satisfaction by delivering tailored solutions that meet their specific needs. And finally, allows individual users to tailor the interface to their specific preferences and working styles. So this increases the user satisfaction and comfort, just potentially reducing the learning curve for new users. So we have here briefly can see the interface of Archicad, which shows us whenever we start a new project, um, there's this dialog box that opens up, and it has the section where we are able to choose the templates. And below that, there's also the profiles, which is the work environment profiles. These are also separately shown here in the dialog box. So you can see that the work environment dialog box on the side. So what can the template or the work environment store, right? So basically it can help us to custom store the navigators. The navigator basically contains project maps and view maps. It is also able to store the graphic overrides, the attributes, the documentation folders inside publishers, along with various work environment uh, tabs and toolbars and whatnot. So this will help us to, if we set this up earlier, it will help us to save time. And this is basically saved in a TPL format, which also we can see in the dialog box over there. So the extension is TPL, which is a template file of Archicad, and it contains all these informations that the user sees, right? So further as one becomes familiar with Archicad, uh, they can discover their own preferred ways to use its features and arrange the palettes, the toolbars, and menus on the screen. So this is how the user is able to customize their own templates and work environments. So most of these options can be customized in the work environment, right? And we will see that in the demo also. I will showcase a few of the examples. And on the next slide, we have what is a template file? So template file is a read-only file, right? So it's a TPL extension. It contains all the project settings, placed elements, and tool defaults. So when you create a new project in Archicad using a template file, this default template appears at the top of the pop-up list. So this is where we choose the template file, and the location, usually it's located in the program files Graphisoft root folder, so it's on the defaults inside Archicad. So I would like to now switch on to the demo. For this, I'll just share my screen towards Archicad. So yeah, here we are in the Archicad interface now. So this is currently my work environment here. To the user's experienced here, you can see something that's a bit not used to. So I've placed this panel here, the settings panel, on the side. Usually it's up here. So we are able to customize these panels easily in Archicad. So whether you like it on the top part here, the default settings, you're able to access them in a horizontal way, right? But then if one wants to switch that towards the vertical format, you are able to do that. But the reason why I mention this is once we finish working on this project on the day, let's say the end of the day, we close the project. Once we open it, it is going to show up like this. But the problem is once we have a new project, everything that we made edits on this level, the plans, the default settings to be vertically placed here, the toolbars are like this, you know. So in the new project, you will not be able to have the same appearance, or let's say the work environment again. So this is because we did not save our template file, right? So once we are able to customize according to our needs, we must be, you know, we must be saving our work environments, and the tools that we have used must be where we wanted it to be, right? So to do that, we basically have to save our files as a template. So which is very straightforward. So once we are happy with what we have in the work environment that's currently displayed, so the navigators on the right side, we have the renovation filter palette, we have the trace and reference palette, we have a bunch of other stuffs here, from layers to attributes to the coordinates, right? So all these, once we are happy, we can basically save it as template file. So once we hit that save as button, we'll be able to switch towards the save as type on as the TPL format, which I already mentioned, which this is the template extension in Archicad. So let's go a little bit into deeper on the topics here for the template. So first, I would like to showcase us here the attributes, which are these, right? So the attributes that we have here, starting from lines, so there are various kinds of lines here, and if we add one, so these lines we can rename them, right? So text lines. So once we create a line, here, so if we set the gap to be 0.2, and let's say it has some kind of settings like this, and we made it so that the project will be using this line, right? This specific line. And then we might have more lines to be made for the specific project. Once we have that, we press OK and we start working on the project. But the most important thing is, once we finish that project and move towards another project, we will need those lines. So the template file will also have these lines that you made, personally you made. It will be saved in that template file, and once you move towards another project, and you will import that specific template file that you created earlier, right? So that's how you will be also able to get back all your lines, all your let's say wall settings if you have made any. So if you have made new walls, similarly to the lines, you might have made a new wall here, right? So by changing the settings, we could create a new wall. Let's say using this material, it might have a certain thickness, which is a 50, and you've changed all these IDs as well. You have defined the structural function and how it will be shown in the floor plan and section. Also, you can adjust them over here. And once you have these new wall settings, you will need to be save it as a template so that you can use it in another project. So it's quite straightforward what I mentioned, and it's for what purpose you'll be saving the template for, right? So various kinds of purposes, starting from our checklist, let's say project info, towards the project info as in, let me clarify that. So the project info over here, so we will be inserting these details, and there are some details that we will not be inserting them every time we start a new project, right? So every time we start a new project, we won't be editing the contact details, because our team members, our company name will already be specified over here. So currently I'll just write that test company. So this company will be the host company that our company will be working on, and your emails and everything will be listed down here, right? So these are the defaults. So every time we start a new project, we will be, it will be really nice if these are already filled up, right? So to have that, we need to basically save these details that will be default, and then save it as a template file. So this also works for the project info. And then we have the location and orientation. So if there's some location settings that will already be repeating, such as a certain city. So if you are working in a project that's only in some area of city, and in that city you only have maybe residential projects, or maybe you have only commercial projects, then you might have to go ahead and relocate them every time if you do not have the template file, right? So if you have the template file, you'll be able to specify that upfront before starting the project and save it as a template file, so that once you move towards a new project, you'll be able to use that template file, and your location settings will also be available for you to move on with. And then you have another one is the story settings. So if you personally or your company is developing many kinds of residential buildings which have these standards or codes that only allows us to create certain story heights, right? So the story heights may be repetitive, right? So if the story heights are repetitive, you might want to also use those settings for the story heights and create a default elevations and names for all your projects. So once you save that and save it as a template file, this will also be reflected in your new project if you choose your template, right? If you choose the template that you saved. So also the properties and classification systems, as I already mentioned here. So if we edit any of these and we save it, this will also be saved in the template file. So the material classifications can also be saved. Then we have the layout book organization here. So I mentioned about the publisher, which is on the navigator palette. So we have various kinds of folders here, but we can basically create our own stuff relating to the phases of the project, right? So if the phase 1 is going to be the concept, so we can create a phase 1. We can have a separate folder. So this can be named as phase 2. So you can put that down here. So it's on and on. So it can have all these folder structures, and even on the inside part, if you want. So phase 2, maybe in phase 2 they might have, let's say, so the folders for the layouts, it could be the architecture plans, right? So art plans for now. So if we just in the phase 2, we have the architecture plans on this folder. We have another plans for just the structural elements on this folder. You can have one more for the MEP plans, right? We can have some preliminary preliminary plans, basically for the coordination, right? So you can have the plans coordinated on this folder and then save it. So all these folder structures basically will be saved in the template file. So if your organization is doing these phases in their own way, so everybody has their own way, and basically the folder structure will be created in that way, and once that's done, it will be saved in the template file, so that you have another project, you use that project, and you also have your folder structure back in to that new project. So this is also a checklist for you to take a look at. And then we have the view map organization. Obviously, as similar to the publisher sets, you can also organize your view maps. So currently I don't have anything here, so if I want to add here, obviously we can do that, right? So for default, we have the current workflows and the folder structures laid out on this file as it's like this. So you have the presentation folder separately placed in the architecture plans, electric, ceilings, and whatnot. So all these folders are already default in the template. So if we export this template and use it in another project, you'll have your view maps and your folder structure similar to this one. But obviously the contents inside each element here will be different, right? So only these folders will remain, but the contents inside will be from this particular project that you are working on. So currently I have opened this interior design sample project here. So it's pulling out the contents from this model. So every folder has these documents, the presentation documents. So these are pulling, these folders are pulling the information from the interface here, the model here. So the template file should not contain the models, right? So if you save it as a template file, but you open it, and it will still contain this this model here. So if I save this as a template file, basically what I mean is this whole model will also be saved, right? But we do not want that in our template files, because template file is not for having your models, right? So it's only for having your folder structure, your settings, and all these things that I just mentioned earlier. So further moving on, the layout schemes, right? The layout schemes, as in our master layers. We might have our master layers here. So this is a Vmax for the DWGs. So currently it's using the master layout as A2 landscape, right? And if we go to TWGs, let's say we have on the layout, we create a new master layout, right? So whenever we create a new one, it will exist in this particular project, obviously. But to have it on our template file, we must, just save it, right? Save it. At the end, layout schemes are also present in the template file. We can save it as layout scheme so that you have a new project, you'll be able to access that uh, information that you created. So same thing goes for the project library, which is the first one, the project map here. So this is the project map, and the project map can contain all sorts of things from sections, elevations to the stories, the plans. You can have your own made. You can have the quantities made. So it can contain the criteria sets the quantity has. So the scheme settings here, all these schemes will be present, right? So these schemes will be saved in template file as well. The only thing is, once we save it as a template file, we need to delete the model. We don't want the model, but we want the information from our schemes, the folders, and all the structures that's going to be repetitive for the next project. So also to mention some of these things such as the favorites. So we have various kinds of favorites that we can save in. And so if we go to the objects, even for the objects, we can save this as a favorite. So if we change something here, let's say my constant use or the dimension for this particular object is going to be dimension 1 is going to be 2000 millimeters. The second dimension here will be 600 millimeters, and the height will be, let's say, 1 meter, so 1000 millimeters. So if this is going to be repetitive, then I will save it as a favorite, right? So for this, I can just redefine or just save it as a favorite, which is this. We can add a favorite from here, right? So we save it as a favorite one. So this is the favorite. So it's saved. So the favorites that we saved in this project, we might use it again. And this is where the template file, the TPL format, will help us out with the favorites as well. So they will save the favorites that we have, which is a good thing because we do not want to go ahead and create again the 2 meters, 6 meters, and 1 meter height of dimension this particular object has, right? So every time it would be a hassle to be coming in here and changing the settings over and over again. So this is where the template file will help us out. So this is like sort of addressing the performance issues, right? So in Archicad, you have your favorites, and if you are able to, access those favorites in another project quickly, so you perform well, your time saves and all that. Also, so these were the interface that directly connects towards your model and your drawings, right? So what I discussed was all these things that connects your drawings and your models. But the next thing we also have here is various kinds of things in the work environment. So this is where we have profiles, right? So we have a lot of profiles that's default. So currently we have the profiles saying the architecture basic profile, we have the profile for architecture normally, and we have the MEP basic, MEP. I have created my own, which is the personal profile here, and then this is currently activated. So what you see in the interface is all due to the fact that I have saved my own template, right? And then we have the structural engineering template, and basic and the normal one. So what's the difference between these templates? We can just basically view it here. So if I change it to architectural profile, it's going to use these these schemes. And for the MEP basic profile, the scheme stored will be looking like this. So it's completely different. You can see, so when we switch towards the architecture profile, the workspace, the commands and tools here is from the architecture section. For the MEP, the changes here occurs in the tools of MEP, the workspace and commands. However, these layout schemes, they do not change. So basically these profiles, they have overlapping schemes for user settings to the standard shortcuts, but they have different tools and workspace and commands. So same goes towards the structural engineering and structural engineering profile. So the basic and the normal one has also different kind of scheme. So if I view my personal profile here, you can see I've changed a lot. I've changed the schemes to be for the user preferences, I've placed something else. So for the company standards, I have some default company standards, but for the shortcuts, I've created my own. The tools created my own, workspace, command, I created my own. So that's the difference here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 schemes to take care of. So the 6 schemes here are listed on these panels here. So if I collapse these schemes, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So these 6 schemes can be seen here. So the profile is the root, or let's say the topmost panel here is going to be the top option, which will store every settings, right? And once we go inside one of these schemes, so it's a scheme option, right? So this is a profile option, and then we have the scheme options. So all these are scheme options. So for this user preference schemes, if we expand this dialog box, we have various kinds of things, from starting here, the boxes, the palettes, right? So I will not go to each and every settings here to explain right now, but I'll just shortly give us an example on how we can save these, right? So if I say, let's say we have the use scroll effects as on the marker here. So if I change it towards a little bit fast, so once we change that, it immediately directs us that it's customized, right? So the preference schemes is now a custom one. It's no longer the scheme that's been stored or saved. The user schemes has changed, and it has detected, and it will show us that something's changed. So it's likewise, if we go towards the selection and element information, we have more things that we can change. So we have the dots, we can change the colors here, the control colors, the reference lines, and all that. We can also go towards the tracker. So the tracker can also be changed, and the input, the model rebuild options. If we suppose, let's say, change one of these settings on the auto rebuild model view control. So if we do not want to update the viewpoints automatically, then we can switch this off, right? So this will, stop the rebuild for all the sections and elevations and interior to, basically make the edits. So any edits that you make, it won't be rebuilding in the background. So this is the auto rebuild option. So you keep basically changing these will be changing the schemes here. So it will be customized as per the settings that we change. So if we go back to the main scheme here, the user preferences, which I was inside, it already says now it's custom. So it's no longer a person profile or a standard user preference, because it's one of these settings were changed. So once we are happy with all the things that here and the things that we want to have, we change it over on these settings, right? We can basically store them. So we just have to hit the store as button and store it as test scheme, let's say for now. So this is the test scheme, right? So the test scheme will have the user scroll effects on the fourth gauge here. The gauge has the fourth panel here, so it will be on the faster side. But if we go towards the personal one, the personal will have a different one, right? Or the standards might have a different one. So it depends on where you save it, right? So you also have to apply the scheme to activate it. So basically, if I want to switch back to personal profile, so I'll have to apply the scheme, hit apply, and once that's done, it will say, okay, the personal schemes are applied over at the top. So which will bring back the slider on the number third. So similarly, we can save all these company standards over here. So we have the data safety and integrity, the network and updates, the special folders here. We can change these. So if we do not want these locations to be stored on our C drive, we can locate it to our external hard drives or whatnot. So you can do that using the choose location option here. So once you edit these locations, you'll again have to go back to the same scheme. The second one, which is the company standards and schemes, right? So you have to store them as again the preferred name here and apply them, right? So once you apply that, you'll be able to access your schemes. And all these schemes obviously will be stored in the TPL, the template extension. And also the shortcut schemes, we have a lot of shortcuts that we can create. It's pretty straightforward. If we want to have a shortcut for split, we can assign it here. So I've already assigned it a shortcut for the split, which is the S button. And once I edited the keyboard shortcuts, I created new shortcuts. I go back to the scheme and I store the shortcuts for myself, so that once I have the template saved, I will use that in another project, and my shortcuts will be there for me, right? It will be there for doing those actions that I need to. Also, for the tool schemes, we again go to the toolbars, right? So the options here we can see the arrow, marquee, wall end, and all these. So we can have these placed as per our need. So as per the grouping here, the first one is the select, which is, let me actually increase this so that it's clear. So what I'm talking about is this toolbar here. So I'll go back to the work environment. So the toolbar over here, the first one group is just select. The select only has two icons, that's arrow and marquee. The arrow and marquee. So if we want, let's say, something more on the select panel, we can add. We can add that from here. And on the design here, the design panel, you can see we have various kinds of elements from wall to lamp, and it's all coming out from here. So it's pulling this information from the work environment. So if there's any tool that we do not need, or any tool that that's not needed for a certain purpose, we can remove them, right? So we can remove them so that there's no confusion. We don't have these here. So some of the things that are really needed will be placed, right? And then the things that we do not need, we can be removed. So there's a bunch of things over here. So let's say if I was preparing a toolbox for working out MEP tasks, then I will I will not include walls or columns, right? So I'll start including the duct routes, I'll start including branches, duct, whatnot, cable carrier, pipes, and all these. The fittings will be added. So you just hit add selected and it will start adding over here. And if we do not need the walls, we will remove them, right? So columns, this will be removed. Let's say we need all these, and let's say we need the lamp, we need the object, and then we will add further MEP things such as the duct terminal, accessory, fittings, and all this, right? So once we have that, hit OK, we will quickly see that it's changed. So these panels have now incorporated what I just placed, right? And once this is done, we can save that as a template file and send out to the dedicated personnel who will be using this particular profile, right? So this particular template or the profile in the template will be now used by the MEP team, so you can correlate to them. So similarly, going back to the work environment, so there's more on the tool settings dialog box. So you can also have these panels for edit. So in the settings, so if we have the wall tool open, we will have these settings displayed over here. So so this is the panel preview. So currently it's the layer. You can see all these will be listed. If we turn this listing on, right? So for the wall tool, listing and structural parameters will be powered up, right? So if we do not want them, we will turn them off. So this is how the wall tool contains the settings over here, right? So the geometry, the profile offsets, the model classifications. So these are connected towards on our toolbox, the tool settings, right? And then we have the info box again. The info box is what I showed in the beginning. The panel over here, the vertical panel. So usually the vertical panel is horizontal, and it will contain all these settings over here. And for every tool, there's a separate settings displayed, right? So we are able to edit those as well. And then we have the workspace schemes. So currently it's on the custom. So it will store the tab appearance, the palette, toolbar, size and arrangement, the docked and undocked status of palettes and the toolbars. So workspace schemes basically does not have anything because it directly correlates to what we make or how we place these palettes, right? So if I place this palette over on the right side and then go ahead and save the workspace like this, let's say store this as the palette was on the right side. So I placed it on the right side. So let's say it's the right side. So this is on the right side. So if I put the person profile back on, apply, and hit OK, the panel will switch, right? So it was on the right side, but now it's taken a new form. So it has taken a form such as this, right? So it will be on this side. Even the size will be detected, right? So the size of this panel will also be saved. So that's for the workspace schemes. So that's the workspace schemes here. And then we have the command layout schemes. So this is where we have the toolbars and the menus. So the menu is the top one. From file to help, it's the menu. And the toolbars, you can see, it relates to the contents inside each each structure in the menu, right? So the file will have the new button, will have the open and all this. So it's fully customizable. So you can also create your new toolbars. That's possible as well here. And for the menus also, we can have our own menus. So at the top, if we want, let's say we want a new menu beside the help button. So it could be someone, if let's say for example, if a new user is starting out in Archicad and the person is completely new to Archicad, then it might be difficult for him or her to understand where to start, right? So the onboarding process, the trainer can specify some tools that the new user can practice. So those tools can be placed in this one. So for practice, let's say the menu can be called out practice, and then in the practice we can have so you have to cycle from the menus here. So if it's whether it will be displayed in alphabetical order or just current menu structure, uh, or all commands, right? So that can be done separate. So if I have the wall, let's say it's run this one by theme. So there's a bunch of tools that we can. So basically, it contains every tool, right? Every tool, not just bunch, but it has all the commands and menus that Archicad contains. So by theme, I can find the wall settings. So I can have the wall here. Then the user can use slab for practice or as a beginner, just to place the elements, right? To navigate the 3D environment and 2D environment once they place the elements. So we can have this basic. So this will be a new menu. The menu is called practice, and it will contain these elements. So I press OK, and then we have our practice menu available for the new user to use. So the new user, if he or she does not understand what's going on with these panels and all that, we can remove that obviously. So we can remove this toolbox. We can remove this as well, or let's say we place it. We might need this. So so now the person does not have to be confused. You can just directly go on with the practice and start practicing what's needed, right? So that's a bit of a customization tip. And if we go towards work environment again, that would be the last thing in the scheme. So once all this is done, we still have to save our profiles, right? So we saved it in individual, we save the individual schemes, but then all these schemes are placed inside profiles. This is where we will be saving it as a new one. So that once we have the new one, all the settings that we changed on these schemes will be saved, and then we can either set it as a default, or we can just apply whenever we need it. So if it's for the architectural one, we will apply this scheme. MEP one, we will apply the scheme. The structural, apply the scheme. And if it's a personal template, then you will have your own applied, right? So the work environment, once saved, we will be having our the environment set up correctly as we wanted it to be, and now we just have to save it as a template file again, right? So we can save it as a template over a previous existing template as well. So once you go on upgrading the templates, once you progress with new features, progress with new tools that you might need in those specific templates, once you have your favorites saved in the templates, so every time you have a new one, you will be able to overlap them just hit using the Save As button, which is pretty much straightforward. So basically, a good template will help us with the efficiency at work. So I think that's about it for today. I will switch to the presentation slide. So any questions, please let us know, and I'll be happy to get back to you.
Thank you, Sudhir, for your presentation. So I hope all of you found the information helpful for your daily workflow. So we will now open the floor for questions, and please submit your questions in the chat box on the right side of your screen if you have any questions that you want to share with Mr. Sudhir. Or you can still connect with him on LinkedIn, and you can contact him later after this webinar.
Looks like we have a question here. Will we have a recording available? Yes, we will have the recording available for you in YouTube to view. So you can go to our YouTube channel and rewatch the episode.
So if you have any questions or need assistance after the webinar, you can go to our GSI website or our social media channels on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn to get more information. The webinar recording will be published on our YouTube channel, so we will send you an email with the recording after this webinar. So I think that we can end this webinar here. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinars. Thank you, Sudhir.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, goodbye.